Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I've Never Told You, a production of iHeartRadio. And if you've listened to our recent episodes, we are in the final stretch, listeners, of the year. This is our last recording session, I believe, unless something wild happens.
Yes, I mean, we've had some technical issues this year, so it may...
It's possible.
We don't want to say that too loudly.
Gosh, my birthday will never be the same. Anyway, so we've already had some mishaps, but we're powering through. And we're powering through with this episode that I think we could come back and revisit in a much more researched episode. But for today, we're just going to kind of have an informal discussion around gift giving and some of the interesting, I'll say, dynamics that can occur with gift giving, since a lot of us are in that season where you're buying gifts frantically. I spent like 3 hours wrapping gifts the other day, and my back. But the gifts look great, except on the bottom, not good. But you put it on the floor, they can't see that.
Right.
Hey.
I'll let you know, listeners.
Oh, yeah, you can. That's okay. We need to be more honest about all of this, which is what we're talking about. So this is meant to be kind of more of a humorous thing, though a lot of what we're talking about stings. But there are larger issues here, especially around money, especially around a lot of things we're going to talk about that we could explore in more depth. So I just want to say that we're more just talking about our anecdotal stories and experiences.
Yeah, honestly, I know you said that this came from the story that I was told, I had told for my birthday. And just to kind of put it loosely, essentially, my relationship with my family has been a little difficult in the last 10 years. I have changed a lot, and I will say they have not. And I did not realize the differences that we had because for so long, I was trying to acclimate to their beliefs, to their standards, which I find problematic. And I think most people in our listenership would find problematic. They are that modern racist where they feel like what they're thinking is not as bad as way back when, so therefore their opinions are not that bad, which I would disagree with wholeheartedly, especially today as we've come full circle to a lot of that same issues that, we've been talking about for the last 100 years, honestly, right? And I say we as in like all of people in this fight, not me personally. I am not 100 years old. Let's go ahead and put that out there just in case. That is a confusing statement. And as getting older and actually having money and coming into my own adulthood and my own independence, I feel like I have upped my game in gift giving, which I'm pretty proud of, I will say.
Right.
And again, last year we talked about the money. A lot of that's because I could not afford to give the things that I truly want. And so I think I'm a pretty good gift giver. So I try my best to do all of these things. And as of recent, I haven't seen my parents as much as they would like me to. We've kind of gotten distant, again, not only because of our beliefs, but when it comes down to the pandemic, our attitudes have been different. And so therefore, we have not seen each other. Their 50th anniversary happened and I did not go because it was in the middle of the pandemic. They went forward because celebrating to them was more important than the health of others. And I felt that was not as important from my standpoint, because if I were to get someone sick, I would be wrought with guilt. Because at that point, there was no vaccine, all these things. So there was a big wedge. Yeah. And it's understandable on both ends, if that makes sense. If the 50th year anniversary, which it is a big thing, is important, your daughter, who did not show up, would feel a slight to them. And I think it did. All of these things happened. As we finally came together, I should try to make things, with gift giving. You can't buy love, I know this. But I try to show that I know you. I thought about this for you, whatever, whatnot. I went home and typically went for our celebration because we don't see each other all the time. I live an hour and a half away. Everybody's busy. They celebrate birthdays at the beginning of months, and September, you know this, is heavy with birthdays and celebrations, and mine's included, my mom's is included, their anniversary was included. So I assumed we were all celebrating that. I showed up, I had all the gifts ready, my partner, came in, we were very excited, and they kind of didn't have anything for me, which was surprising because I've talked about the fact that they used to make me cheesecake every year and it was just a tradition. That didn't happen. They were kind of surprised that I came in, but it was like 2 days before their anniversary. So of course I brought them an anniversary gift that I came in with all these gifts. I was like, I'm not going to see you for your birthday. Here's this and this. And they were like, oh, well, we'll send you a gift, which was so awkward. So nothing happened because I literally prepared my partner. Oh, we're going to get a cheesecake. This is why I think my mom's doing the celebration. It's an assumption. It's an assumption. Right. And I assumed wrongly, apparently. And so none of that happened. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that felt weird. And this happened after an instance in which I was getting it's not as humorous. It's not as humorous as I wish it was. But I kind of got othered, as in like they talked about my grandparent, who I was really close to at one point, like before their death, and I still miss them very much. And it was my niece and myself, and we were talking about it. And at one point, my mother went essentially saying that it was my sister's grandmother, not mine, and to the point that my niece had to defend me. And I was like, wow, what just happened? Okay, like it was and that was. Never had that happen in my life until that point, to my face. That's to my face. Right. So that's the whole thing. So all of these things were like hints that things were changing. And I was like, I don't know what to do about this. And so for my birthday, I get my call from my mom. She's like, oh, we got you a birthday present. It should be coming. It should be coming. I was like, oh, cool. My thought is they always give me gift cards. Cool. I love that. Give me that. No, not a big deal. I love the gift cards. Give it to me. I'll spend that. Waited. It was late. And finally it showed up. And I kind of looked at it and I opened it up and it was a nice, like one of those gift giving places. Obviously, like that's their whole thing. If you look up nice gifts to send, this is going to be one of those places. It is like baskets of things, themed things, stuff like that. And it was literally a tray of dried fruit. And I sat there and stared at it. And I looked at my partner because both of us were like, what? Because I have never in my life said anything that I like dried fruit. I've never in my life said anything about this company. So it made no sense for my mother, who typically is a really great gift giver. Like she's amazing and very considerate for the most part, that I just sat there. And I laughed and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't eat this. I don't do this. And when I looked it up, I was like, it's a nice gift for someone you don't know. It's literally like if you were sending it to an older person or someone that you had not seen. It was a condolences gift, essentially.
Right.
It's nothing. And I was just like, oh, I think they are really mad at me. Like that's all I could think was, this was one of those last minute, they forgot. I did something super, super nice. They were not going to do anything. They were just going to, or very minimal to anything. And that was the end. So essentially I was like, huh. And I was trying to figure it out to the point that I was so taken aback that I did not immediately call them. I finally did, and I got a voicemail, and then I kind of never talked about it again. And then my dad asked about it because I could tell my dad was hurt that I was not appreciative that they sent me a gift. And that it probably bothered my mother, especially because she was really worried it wasn't going to get to me. So I really think it was well-intended, but felt like it's something you give to a stranger.
Right.
Yeah. So this started this whole moment of like, wow. And I know it's just a gift, but it felt like it was a testament to our relationship.
Right. And that's the thing. Because originally when you told me this story, we kind of joked about like your bitter fruit.
Oh, it's my bitter fruit. It's still here, by the way. It has. I think one person touched it when I set it out for a party.
Yeah. I was there and I was trying to be very delicate about it. I'm not sure I succeeded. And we've talked about gift giving, and especially gift giving with women before. We called it passive-aggressive gift giving. And just all these dynamics, and we're going to run through some really quick. I did want to share, I have a story that's similar, but it's also funny to me because we recently, Samantha and I did kind of a comparison of the holiday movies we watch every year, and the differences between them are clear and made me laugh. But one big theme in a lot of the movies I watch is the dad who's never there finally is like, oh God, the power of Christmas, let me get this gift to you. But it like did the bare minimum, let's be honest.
Right.
Like he should have done that forever ago, given the circumstances he had. It was just that he wasn't there. But my dad once was not there on Christmas Eve, didn't give an explanation why, but we all knew what it was. And then he came back and he was like, I was out getting you a Christmas gift. He didn't even wrap it. And it was a miniature football that I believe they hand out for free at football games.
Yes, they throw into the stands.
And I was a grown-ass woman at this point, listeners, who had never shown any interest in football. Like, nothing would have been better at that point.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes. Essentially, I was kind of like that level of like, I don't know what her thought process was.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be taking it completely out of context in that she literally looked up something different. She wanted to give me something different than gift cards. And when she Googled it on her phone in her limited experience in technical prowess, this is what popped up, because it is one of those things that first pops up as an ad.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what she's like, perfect. Which is hilarious because growing up, I did love fresh fruit. I was very, very obsessed with fresh fruit to the point that it was expensive, which it shouldn't be. And so my parents didn't get it often because it wasn't as sustainable as getting any of these dry things or boxed things, a lot of artificial stuff. So she knows I like fresh fruit, which is an option in those baskets. Right. So I'm like, even that would have made a lot more sense.
Right. Well, this is, we're talking a lot about the kind of like parent relationship, but it is a big deal with like couples as well. And you see that so many times in sitcoms where it's like, you gave me this, like you haven't been listening to me, you didn't pay attention to me. Yes. This is what you thought I wanted. And speaking of that, like we see that a lot with women, particularly on sitcoms, I think. And so I was just thinking of a couple of examples. Like for one, there's a lot of gendered gift giving and a lot of maybe not well thought out gift giving when it comes to women. And one big joke is like when you give a woman a vacuum or some kind of like cleaning, like this is a thing you're going to have to do, which I will say, don't get me wrong, if you ask for a vacuum, you want a good vacuum, that's great. Good vacuums.
I'm looking for a good stick vacuum.
Right. Like you can actually want that. But a lot of times it would just be like, the house is dirty. You are the one that cleans it. Here's a vacuum. Right. Like kind of that underlying message. Yeah. This is not what I asked for.
Right. And like there's in Love Actually, which was one of the movies that I made you watch, that the fact that Emma Thompson's character, when she saw jewelry, knew something was wrong.
I know. That's heartbreaking. Oh, I know. But I mean, that's the same thing. Like my mom would always tell my dad, like, I want this, which we all do, but she would like go out and buy it herself. She would buy it and then wrap her own present.
Yep. My mother's done that.
Which is like, again, if that's what you want and that works for you and you communicated it, fine. But to me, it just felt like he was not going to do it. He was not going to get her something she actually wanted. So she had to go out and buy the thing and then wrap it herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a couple years ago, Peloton. Not having a good time of it. But like that's a big theme I see with gifting and women, which can feel very either passive-aggressive or outright offensive. Because there was that commercial that it was like the husband gave his wife, who was very thin, a Peloton. And like, you'll be able to get in shape finally, honey. And again, if that's what you want, if you want to feel better, be healthy, that's fine. But it was much more framed in like, you need to lose weight for me.
Right. And for our family. And you need to do this in the waking hours when you don't have to like handle the kids.
Right. Like fit this into your schedule. And then doesn't it like cut to a year later and she's like supposed to be so much more fit. You're like, you look the same.
Right. And then cut to Ryan Reynolds taking her off, being the same actress and looking like she'd been in like a hostage situation essentially.
I mean, that's the thing. I've seen that happen too, where people give those kinds of gifts, which I can't hark on this enough. If that's something you want, that's fine. But we're more talking about sort of when a gift is more about you than it's about
lingerie.
The other person. Yes. Oh, that is a big one.
Yeah.
Oh, Victoria's Secret around this time of year is like the only time you see a lot of men in there.
They found a reason.
Yeah, that's a good point. My uncle gave me clothes from the maternity section once, and I have to feel like that was a very mean-spirited gift.
Did he do it on purpose?
He said something like, I wasn't sure if anything else would fit you. So, yes.
Is this the same uncle that I have problems with?
It could. Well, I think you have problems with multiple of my uncles.
Yeah, that might be true. Your family is fun.
It's a yeah. You know, it's we put the I don't know.
Our families are amazing. Our families are amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, like that's the thing is like my mother also not because I don't have a lot of relationship content to that the gifts that I've typically gotten from any partners. I don't think I've had many partners during Christmas. I purposely stayed away from partners through Christmas. But like my experiences have been like because I don't like Christmas. I've been giving gifts to make me try to like Christmas. I'm like, this is not going to work because I'm not religious. I've been giving religious gifts to change my ways.
Yeah,
and that's just more than one person on that one. But that's like, why would you do this? Like, why would you make me really despise you more by doing this to me?
Yeah, no, for sure. And one you brought up that I'd totally forgotten about is married gifts. The gifts that they're like, once you get married,
this
you
is
can
for
get
you.
this. Right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, because I said this is a Sex and the City episode, but we've heard so many times, we have put this away for your wedding. We have put this away for your this. That you have to hit a specific mark. And I've thought about that because I know, no shade, because I'm happy for people, like they have saved money, a lot of the tradition, for weddings. So therefore, my sister had a budget specifically paid for by my parents. I will never see that money unless I get married. And even then, I think I'm an adult now, so I probably won't because she was not necessarily like in career life yet when she got married. But like we know that's a lot of people that, especially when it's the bride's side, which is a whole different conversation in itself. But like the tradition is that the bride's family pays for the wedding. I think it has a lot to do with a dowry way back when. But like that's that level of like, I've saved this for your wedding.
Right.
So unless you do this, you're not going to get this. In the Sex and the City episode, it literally was that like once you get married, you'll get part of my fortune. But if you never get married, you're never going to get it.
Yeah. And that's so strange. That's such a like, I feel my mom had a lot of that kind of stuff, which I've always been quizzical about with like plates. Like when she got married, she got a bunch of like nice silverware and nice plates and stuff. And I like it. That's nice in one level of, okay, you're married now and you can have that. But it's also like, what if they never got married, but they're still in a stable relationship?
Well, then that's kind of goes into the like wedding bridal showers and baby showers. I have given so much money to friends for wedding gifts, baby gifts, all these things. And I have never once thrown any of those kinds of parties. Where's my housewarming?
I will bring you something. Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Oh, gosh. And then I did want to mention, just because this is a huge thing during this time as well with gifts, like gendered gift giving. I have recently come across several that are aimed at men because, as I told you, a friend of mine got me these Star Wars themed soaps because, of course. And she didn't realize when she gave them to me, but they're for men. It says like for men, which cracks me up because it's like, one, you're trying to trick men into like buying soap so they'll be clean, I guess. But two, it's implying that Star Wars isn't for women.
Right. Once again.
Once again, yes. But also they smell really good. I'm excited to use them. It just makes me laugh. I'm like, it's sad, but it's so funny to me that it like literally says soaps for men.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to use those soaps for women.
Obviously, like the dude wipes, they're obviously only for men to wipe their butts.
Right.
Everything else is women's, even though there's no gender outside of that. There's no women's wipes outside of being like douche products, which we don't love anyway, which no one should be using them.
No.
But like any of the like Cottonelle, all that, which also are bad for the environment, BT dubs, but dude wipes. Just because.
Right. Well, and there's just so much like, it's such a clear time when you look at gifts to see that the gender divides that still exist based on what gifts are like, these are manly man gifts, you get this. And these are for women, you get this. And like, it's still, even when you come to children, which we've done multiple episodes on like the gendering of children's toys, it's still like women kind of doing house domestic stuff and men drinking whiskey and grilling out. I don't know.
Yes, which makes me laugh because all of them are like brown leather or any of those things. And you're like, but why? Also, I like whiskey. I'm confused.
I know. We need to put an end to this, okay? And then I did briefly want to talk about regifting, which I'm actually not opposed to. Regifting without disclosing, I think, is the issue.
I don't know. If it's something like, we've definitely gotten things that we are supposed to endorse that we're like, we're not going to use this. Would I do? Is it really a regift? I'm probably just going to give it away. And then add other gifts. Yeah, it is. It's different. But I've definitely had those moments when I was younger and I was making $29,000 a year. I had 3 nieces and nephews. I had been given gift cards from people that I'm like, okay, I'm going to use this for them. And they would use it. So then I'm like, this is their gift. This makes it easier for me.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really opposed. I think what I'm specifically thinking about, there's an episode of Seinfeld where this plays out. It's more in a like romantic relationship.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to mention this because when I was very young, I didn't have any money, but I did have money, but I didn't spend it. Maybe that's the issue. But I re-gifted all of these things to my relatives and I made them a bunch of gifts, and I was 9 years old because I wanted to give everybody a gift. And I overheard them making fun of me and talking about, and so now it's become like I can't forget that conversation. It haunts me. And so I feel like part of the reason I go out of the way with gifts, which I feel I'm pretty good with my friends. My friends not so much, but with my family.
You're an amazing gift giver.
Yeah,
it's hard to keep up. I feel like I'm pretty good, but you make
really
it hard to keep up.
No, but that's the thing is it's turned into, because of like, at least in part because of this memory, I have to redeem myself.
Yeah.
Even though I was like 9, and what does it matter? Like,
right. And honestly, I've never had that kind of traumatic experience, and I would be traumatized by that for real. Like, it would sear into my memory. Obviously, it has to you as well. But for me, like, it's literally that level of I want to be able to give anything I want to give without question. And again, like, not until recently have I been able to have the capability to do so. But I still have to rein it in because there's this level of disparity when it comes to what you're giving and what you're getting. And so you don't want to make that other person feel worse. And I would be that person. If you gave me something amazing and I gave you something minute and be like, oh, damn it, what do I do? It's kind of like that Office episode, which he brings the iPod Touch, which is like $200. And everybody was like, we're supposed to spend $20. Why are you doing this? And he makes a big deal. Not that I make the big deal, but you don't want that to happen either. It's such a bad balance. Like, gift giving feels so awful, which I just read a tradition in Iceland that I'm like, maybe we should do this. You know what I'm talking about? Essentially, the night before Christmas, or maybe it's the New Year's, I can't remember, in which instead of giving all these big gifts, you just give books. And what you do is you sit around as a family reading your own books. That's it. That's it. Yeah. And I'm like, sounds amazing. Let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, no, that's a good point, because I think, just to wrap this up, there is a stress around finance. And sometimes I was talking about this with some friends of mine the other day, because I'm of the opinion, like, I love giving gifts. I love getting gifts, but I don't like it if you're just doing it to do it. Like, oh, I have to do it, and I have to find you a gift, and I know it's not perfect for you, but I can't think of anything else. I would much rather, like, throughout the year, see something and be like, oh, Samantha would love that. I'm going to get that and give it to her. As opposed to like, oh God, it's December. I can't think of a single thing. Which is why I have my Post-it note where I make notes throughout the year. But, I do like that idea. And that's why my group of friends that I've grown up with, we had a rule where you couldn't spend any money. It was like a re-gifting, or if you found something. And I loved it. You got the most interesting gifts. I got a big bird ornament that had its legs broken off, and I love it. How did you find that? I love it.
That's interesting. I feel like that might have been, they dug it out of a trash can, and I like it. There you go.
I know. I love it. I legitimately love it. Because it's just so, when I opened it, of course, I had to laugh. Like, what is
That's
this?
amazing. But that's the thing is like, and then also, having that clear communication of like, so are we doing gifts?
Yes.
Like, I think you're a gift person, but you don't think I'm a gift person? Oh.
Right. You do need to have that conversation. And I think it's good to establish, because I've seen that play out in rom-coms as well, where they're like, oh, we're not doing gifts. And then one of them gets a gift and then the other person's just mad because you agreed not to get any gifts.
Right.
Like, I think you need to be very clear on those kinds of parameters because,
right.
I mean, this is supposed to be a fun, nice thing. And I think it can be, but clearly there's a lot of...
I feel like the capitalism of it all makes it a little more... It takes out the magic sometimes. Right. I will say, I do want to redeem the story about my...
bitter fruit?
my bitter dried fruit. In that I think my parents have come back around in that, this is something else that maybe we should go back to what it was. With Christmas, they've kind of done some things. And they've actually done some really good boundaries for themselves because they have so many grandkids, stepkids, like family members that they are trying to give for. And they're retired and they don't need to be doing it that. I don't want to seem like I'm being ungrateful because I know that at least they tried. I do. And I've tried to like come back to that. But it was so out of left field and so not pertaining to me that it felt like it was passive aggressive. And again, this is my own feelings and I have to like own that. But I do know that my mother, like I said, has been an amazing person when it comes to gifts. My dad is very sentimental, but he doesn't buy things necessarily. He likes the moments. Yeah. But my mom, she really does put an effort to the point that she makes herself so anxious that she hates everything. And BT Dubs, she's probably one of the most crafty people I've seen in my life. Her packages look like they need to be in shopping malls as displays. Like you don't want to open her presents. It's one of those, like you have big floral ribbons with like decor, pine cones, mistletoe in there. And you're like, what the hell is happening with this package?
Yes.
So she is that person. So I feel like it does come back around. But there is a lot to be said that when it comes to gift giving, and if you're trying to be sentimental and trying to knowing somebody, and some people are good and some people aren't. That's the thing.
That's
it's like
true.
It is an art to it. It is difficult.
Yes. And I don't want to ever, as we said, we were kind of just having an informal discussion. You know, I don't want people to feel more guilty than not. Like, I can't think of a gift, but I have to get them something. We've all been there. We all do it. Right. Some people are better at it than others, and that's just how it is, and that's okay.
And some people have more hobbies, so it makes it easier.
That's true. And I've gotten some amazing paintings from a good friend of mine, Katie, who does that. And they're like so good. Like, I love it. Like, I think it's another one of those areas where you don't have to relegate it into one thing. Like, gift giving can look like a lot of ways. Like, I really like it when people just take me out for a drink or something. Like, it doesn't have to be, here's a physical
That's what
thing.
I love.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully it's not super stressful for everybody listening. I know it can be. But there's something like giving that perfect gift. And you're like, oh, yes. It's powerful. It's a powerful feeling.
It is.
All right. Well, good luck, everyone. Hopefully you've got your gift shopping done.
And for those of you who are having a hard time, we love you. And we know that this was a very privileged conversation. And we're so sorry. But just know you're not alone, no matter what.
No. And if you would like to contact us, you can. Our email is stuffmediamomstuff@iheartmedia.com. You can find us on Twitter at momstuffpodcast or on Instagram at Stuff I've Never Told You. Thanks as always to our super producer, Christina.
The best. Merry Christmas.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I've Never Told You is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.